Hello and welcome to my review of the Imperial Landspeeder, the special 30th anniversary edition. It was available to pick up at the 2018 Warhammer Fest back at the start of May, and it costs £50. That is a huge amount of money, it really is. And straight away, do I think it's worth that amount of money? No. It depends. If you like the retro look and you want a model to commemorate or to remember that event and it being a 30th anniversary edition, then yeah. And just for a resin Landspeeder, I don't think it's worth it. If you missed out on getting this Landspeeder, Forge World will be releasing a better, more updated version of this with different weapon options, missile launchers on the sides, multi-melters, and I think a plasma cannon on the front. I'll go into detail of those in a moment. But if you're after a Horus Heresy Landspeeder, still the Legion Javelin Landspeeders are probably the best way to go. They've got more protection, they look way cooler. I still don't know whether they look cooler as the 40K ones, but they are £9 more, so factor that in to your calculations. But they are, more effective on the battlefield, and they do look better. But that's obviously open to opinion. I was never a huge fan of this model. I bought it for the channel to specifically do the unboxing and this review. I think it's just crazy. I think technologically the design choices are questionable. The weapon can't really move up or down. Made it so that it can, but you know what I mean. Like if it's going along, it can't really move up or down when it's firing that. It makes more sense having the weapon underslung there. I think it's odd that the intakes for the thrusters are directly behind the seats. I think it's odd that there's no protection for the Space Marines. Yes, they're in power armor, I get that, but there's absolutely no protection whatsoever, both from a landing point of view and just while they're airborne. Very, very odd design, and sometimes best to leave these things in the past as examples of where we've progressed to, and I'll show you a comparison with the newer Landspeeders in a moment. So the model itself, though, it went together very quickly, quicker than I thought. It's fully resin, didn't really have any issues, any mold line issues. What I've done with mine is I've magnetised this top weapon. He says I've magnetised there with two little magnets because there will be different weapons. I don't know whether the weapons will be separate. Oh, fingers crossed that they will. But if they are, then I can just change this out to, a conversion beamer or plasma cannon or whatever they're going to release. So I've done that, and you can sort of move it up and down and twist it. So that's why I've done that. But I've also magnetised this little radar sensor thing as well that can move, and that's because, again, if they release any different weapons, I can just put it there. I might put a little magnet there for the missile banks when they release those. So I have options there of upgrading this, with a front nose mounted weapon too, if they choose to release it separately, which I and hope they do. So at least I've left some options open there for increasing its effectiveness. Worst case scenario, it's just a bog standard Landspeeder. All my Landspeeders are Tornadoes anyway, and I've got a Tempest, and I've got a Typhoon as well. But anyway, I've just left this as a bog standard Landspeeder with a multi-melter. So it's going to look odd on the battlefield. However, I think with the beaky armor and the studs on the shoulder pauldrons, I think it's still going to work well in a Space Marine army, and you can actually see the Space Marines. They're not behind any armor or any covering or anything like that. The flying base is a load of rubbish, I want to say, because it doesn't fit in that hole nice and snugly, and because of the weight of the model look, you're going to be pulling off some funny. That you can get away with that. Funny, it won't sort of sit completely straight unless you use the ground sensor to rest on the stand itself, and then you can get a decent sort of flat level pose. Or alternatively, once you painted it and things, you could just glue it in place like that or whatever. I can see a lot of conversions where things are leaping on it, and you know, it's really going to set some people's imagination off. Maybe there's a leg being torn off by a creature. I don't know, but you know, I can definitely see there's potential there for conversion and dioramas and things like that with this very open topped you know, Landspeeder. So let's do a few size comparisons, and then I'll compare it with the newer Landspeeder that was painted 15-20 years ago when I first started the hobby. It's not the best, but so normal Space Marine, obviously there's a normal Space Marine there. They are of similar size, I want to say. So, oh, he's already erect, so there we go. So there you go, normal Space Marines, and then a Primaris, obviously much bigger, and then a Contemptor. And this is what I was comparing it to in terms of price. Contemptors are similar-ish price, and I think I said, you know, if you're on the fence of getting this Landspeeder or a Contemptor, just get Contemptor. Definitely more so now with all these last chance to buy as well. But yeah, as you can see, Contemptor's much more detail going on a Contemptor Dreadnought, and it's more fun of a model to build and to pose than this Landspeeder. But there you go, there's some size comparisons. I'll show you the newer Landspeeders now. So here is an old Landspeeder that I've had for quite a while. It's bigger, as you can see there. The wings are bigger, the turbojets are bigger. You know, it's just a bigger model overall, and it's plastic. You know, so you're not going to have too many wobbly issues, but it's just a bigger model, and that's how far we've come. We've progressed now from 30 years ago to this, essentially, in terms of technology and where we are in the 41st millennium. But there you go. So I thought I'd just make that comparison too. I think one of these Landspeeders you can get for like 12 or 15 pound, so much cheaper than a full resin retro one. Okay, so this is my part of the review where I will go through all of the rules for this Landspeeder. Now, I'll go through the Horus Heresy rules and the Warhammer 40,000 rules. I'll start off with the Horus Heresy rules. But for all intents and purposes, it is essentially a Legion Landspeeder, you know, squadron. You can have between 1 and 5, and it will cost you 40 points. It typically comes with a heavy bolter, but you can upgrade that to what it's got here, which is a multi-melter. For plus 10 points, so it's 50 points. You can also change the heavy bolter to a heavy flamer or a Volkite culverin, which they've shown pictures of. You can also upgrade it with a Havoc launcher, heavy bolter, plasma cannon, or graviton gun. I think it was the graviton gun, sorry, that I saw it with, and the plasma cannon underslung. And you can give it 2 hunter killer missiles as well. So that would be your, you know, to completely equip it ridiculously, you'd have the Volkite culverin, which is 50 points, plasma cannon, which is that's 80 points, and then 90 points with 2 missiles, and then it's very heavily armed. It's ballistic skill 4, which is good. Its front armor is 10 all around, but it's only got 2 hull points, so it's going to be quite easily shot down, you know, but it is a fast skimmer. And it can deep strike. So that's the Horus Heresy kind of rules for it. You can, of course, use it in your normal Space Marine army, and in your 8th edition Adeptus Astartes Codex. It's a fast attack choice again, with a power points cost of a 6. It's a movement of 16 inches, weapon skill, ballistic skill of 3+, strength 4, toughness 5, 6 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 7, and a save of 3+. So it doesn't have the armor anymore, it just has a toughness 5 and a save of 3+. It contains 1 Landspeeder, and you can include up to 2 additional Landspeeders. So a bit different than Horus Heresy, we could have 5. You can have up to 3 in this fast attack choice. It's equipped with a heavy bolter, but you can equip it with a multi-melter, of course, which basically this Landspeeder has. Match play points cost, a Landspeeder is 70 points, and the multi-melter is 27, so it's 97 points. So yeah, it's definitely more costly in match play in 8th edition, you know, than Horus Heresy. It has, and they show no fear, anti-grav upwash. So models in the unit have a move characteristic of 20 inches instead of 16 when the unit contains at least 3 models. So that's an incentive to have 3 of them to move the 20 inches. And obviously it has the explodes rule where on a 6 it explodes and each unit within 3 inches suffers a mortal wound. You can obviously upgrade it to a tornado or a typhoon by equipping it with an assault cannon and a heavy flamer or a Typhoon missile launcher. So bear that in mind, that you can have it as a tornado once they bring out either an assault cannon or heavy flamer on the front. They may bring out the heavy flamer. I don't think they're going to do that though, because I think they're specifically looking at the Legion Landspeeder squadron, and the heavy flamer would typically replace the multi-melter. So I don't think you're going to see a heavy flamer on the underside there, but you never know. So very costly model for the 30th anniversary edition. I can't see the price changing. If anything, I probably can see them charging a bit more, maybe £59 with all the other weapon options. I do hope they release all the weapon options separately though, to give people that have bought this model an opportunity to, you know, change it up a bit and customize it. Anyway, what do you guys think of the Imperial Landspeeder? Did you get one? Are you a big fan of the aesthetics? Please do put it in the comments below. It'd be great to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor protects.